I was worried about that. That's what I was going to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance. Thank you. Apologize for being a few minutes late tonight. This meeting is called to order at 7:13 p.m. Mr. Chris Lasley and Mr. Josh Bowen were sworn into office at the courthouse on December 5th, 2022. We would certainly like to welcome our two new board members. Thank you very much. Very glad to have you as part of our team. Mrs. Christina Gunner is also a returning board member. She was sworn into office at the courthouse on December 8th, 2022. So we'd like to welcome all three back with us here. 2023 reorganization of board, election of officers, president. Do I have a nomination for president of the board?
Yes. Mr. Freed, I'd like to nominate Carrie Engel.
We have a nomination of Mr. Engel. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Freed, I'd like to nominate Eric Stroud.
We have a nomination of Eric Stroud.
Get the vote on.
Okay, since we have a second, we need to vote on that. That is correct, Mr. Berger? Okay, discussion first on the nomination. No discussion?
I think both Eric and Carrie have been on the board for several years. They can both be good leaders. I've seen things from both of them, so I want to give Eric an opportunity to be the president of our school board for this year.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion for Mr. Engel and a second. So now we take the vote. All in favor of Mr. Engel being president, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Mr. Engel, congratulations, you are now president.
Thank you. For vice president, I'd like to, I need a motion, I need a nomination for vice president.
Go ahead.
I would like to nominate Eric Stroud.
I second.
Do we have any discussion? All those in favor of Eric Stroud as the 2023 Vice President of the North Harrison Community Schools Corporation School Board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, sorry. For secretary, I need a nomination for secretary, please.
I'll nominate Josh Bowen.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Mr. Stroud. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. Motion carries 3-2. It is recommended that the board approve meeting dates and time for regular monthly meetings. Designation of the Court and Democrat for publications and notices, recognition and appointment of a board of finance. Note, policy 0501.1 sets president and secretary to serve in those same roles on the board of finance. I need a motion for this recommendation.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stroud. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Ms. Gunter. Any discussion?
I think we should make note that
Oh, okay. Okay. It'd be I'm sorry, the date and time of school board meeting would be the second Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. in the middle school cafeteria. My apologies. We do have a motion and a second, and we've got no discussion.
just make people aware that we do move these meetings sometimes, like in the October meeting, it usually falls on our fall break, so we will move that. But we will give, I think 48-hour notice. So with those kind of meetings, though, we'll give a week's notice.
Thank you, Ms. Gunter. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. It is recommended that the board appoint the following positions for 2023. Corporation Treasurer, Mrs. Joanne Burson, Assistant Treasurer, Mrs. Judy Jeffries, and Extracurricular Treasurer, Mrs. Kathy Chin. Can I have a motion for this recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Ms. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Bowen. Any discussion regarding this topic? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. It is recommended that the board approve board member compensation by resolution Indiana Code 20-26-4-7. Now, this doesn't even, we're not raising anything, right? No raises. I need a motion, or do I have a motion for this recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Bowen. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Stroud. Any discussion?
You want to explain what the school board compensation involves? Right, the state mandate, $2,000 per year.
Any other statements or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Indiana code requires that a public servant who has an interest in a contract or purchase that possibly may increase those public servants' net worth must fully disclose that possible conflict of interest. This disclosure must be filed once each year with the State Board of Accounts. No official board action is required, but public acknowledgement must be met for the following. Mr. Eric Stroud. Stroud's landscape and lawn care services have been purchased by North Harrison Community School Corporation. Mr. Stroud is owner of Stroud's Landscape and Lawn Care. Excuse me. Mr. Chris Lasley. Mr. Lasley is a contracted bus driver for North Harrison Community School Corporation.
Mr. Green, did you want to add?
Yes, Mr. Lasley on there was not on your original note, so that was added late, so we do apologize for that. We just wanted to provide that as a disclosure. As the contract bus driver, yes.
But he's also doing lawn care.
Yes, Mr. Lasley is also doing lawn care for us, so yes, we did want to get that on there as well. So again, we apologize. Lasley Lawn Care, thank you.
I apologize, this is the first time for me. So it is recommended that the agenda for the January 12, 2023 regular meeting be approved as presented with additions, corrections, or deletions as recommended by the board. Do I have a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Ms. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Lasley. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Approval of the minutes. It is recommended that the minutes from the December 15, 2022 executive session and regular meeting be approved as presented. Do I have a motion for the approval of minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stroud. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Gunter. Do we have any questions or statements? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Business office recommendations, approval of claims. It is recommended that claim numbers 1387 through 1470 for 2022 and 1 through 15 for 2023 be approved as presented.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Stroud. Do I have any questions or comments? Sir?
Yeah, claim 1401, I've requested itemized receipts.
Okay.
Yes, we got that request this afternoon. We will get you that information for sure.
Any other comments? Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1.
Approval of payrolls. It is recommended that regular payrolls for January 20th, 2023 and February 3rd, 2023 be approved for payment.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mr. Stroud. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Lasley. Do I have any comments, questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
It is recommended that the bank reconciliation from December 31st, 2022 be approved as presented.
Do I have a motion for the bank reconciliation?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mrs. Gunter, seconded.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Bowen. Do you have any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Presentations. I think we have a presentation tonight. North Anderson High School, Mr. Gellens.
All right, I'm Matt Kellogg. I'm the principal at the high school. We've been asked to give a little presentation tonight about pathways and some graduation requirements for the high school. So I'd like to introduce our school counselors, Renee Eckert and Miranda Cohen.
I apologize to the seniors. This will be like your 6th time hearing me talk about this, but you should know it by heart by now. So I was told we had 15 minutes for the whole presentation. You guys are looking at me like you can't do it. So for high school, it used to be take your classes, pass I-STEP, graduate. Or when I was there, pass your classes. Now, there are 3 buckets that have to be filled or boxes boxes that have to be checked in order. So the first one is diploma types, the second is learn and demonstrate employability skills, and the third is post-secondary readiness competencies. So diplomas, core 40 with the academic honors, and core 40 with the technical honors. And I'm going to briefly touch on each of these diplomas types. If you have questions afterwards, I'll be happy to in-depth explain it. Okay, if not, everybody has a pamphlet. Okay, so credits. You get a credit for passing a class at the end of the semester, so your transcript. So at the end of the year, in one class, you could have 2 credits. So if you think of 2 credits equal a full year. So for English, 8 credits mean you have 4 years of English. And then the 6 credits in math, they must be algebra, geometry, and algebra 2. However, those 6 credits must come in high school. So if you took Algebra 1 in 8th grade, you now are required to have another year of math in high school. Science, 6 credits of that, biology being 1, and a physical science being another. In chemistry, physics, those are physical science. And then a third science, the student picks, and we try to help them pick their science based on their pathway and career. Social studies, at North Harrison, we offer geography, history of the world. You must have that. And then junior year, you take U.S. history, and senior year, government and economics. You have to have the 2 credits of PE, a credit of health, and then directed electives. While this diploma does not require foreign language or fine arts, you may take a foreign language and fine arts, and that covers directed electives along with your career technical education courses, the pathway courses we're going to talk about later. And then 6 more electives that should really be academic or career focused for a total of 40. There's no grade requirements, no GPA requirements, only those classes. I need you to go back one slide. Okay. For the academic honors, it is an honors diploma. So with the honors diploma, students have to have a total of 47 credits. The yellow is the difference, so everything in blue is the same as the core 40. On this one, you have to have 8 credits of math. So you have to have that extra year of math, the advanced math. You have to have 6 to 8, so 3 to 4 years of a foreign language. If you do the 3 years, it has to be 3 years of the same language. If you do the 8, you can do 2 and 2, 2 years of each. You have to have a year of fine arts, and then the core 40 electives, which would be those directed electives, the CTE pathway classes, and then 47. Because it's an honors diploma, every grade towards those 47 credits have to be a C or higher, and then that overall grade point average has to be a B, which is a 3.0 or higher. Now, in order to get the academic honors, you don't have to be in every single honors class, but you have to take every class that's required for the academic honors. But if you want a North Harrison distinction, and at graduation, that's the blue cord students where you take every honors class that's offered while in high school, in those 4 classes. In addition, you either are taking 4 credits, which is 2 or more of the AP classes and that AP exam, or you're taking 6 transcribed college credits, so 6 of the dual credits. 6 dual credits pretty much equal 2 of the dual credit classes we offer. You can do a combination of 3 dual credits and 2 credits in the AP courses, or you can get a SAT or ACT score that's listed. For the technical honors, again, it's honors, so 47 credits. Everything in blue, again, is the same as the 440 required. Now, this is a technical honors, so there's not extra language, you don't have to have the advanced math, because the students are working towards the technical courses. So in the yellow, it talks about those career technical education pathway classes. The student has to earn 6 in a state-approved pathway. So not just 6 random pathways, 6 in a sequence pathway, and Ms. Kellum's going to speak about that later. In addition to those 6 high school credits, you are required to have one of the following: a certification or pathway dual credits. So 6 high school credits and then 6 dual credits in that pathway. And then again, 5 of 9 of those electives, the CTE or foreign language or fine arts. And then because it's an honors diploma, no grade below a C, the overall grade point average is a B, a 3.0 or higher. And then you have to complete either one of those A through E requirements for the academic honors, the dual credits, the AP, the certain SAT or ACT scores on here. Or you could do the work keys or active placer. We don't offer that, and Prosser no longer offers those tests either. A student would have to pay to have those if they didn't meet any of these other requirements. We do have several students graduating this year who have academic and technical honors. They have worked really hard to get the CTE dual credits and academic dual credits as well. The second bucket is employability skills. So 3 ways of meeting that: project-based learning, service-based learning, or work-based learning. The project-based learning, we currently use our Prep for College and Career course because students are working towards figuring out what their pathways would be, what classes they'd like to take, and doing career interest inventories and working towards that. So that's how we use for our students. If a student didn't have that grade in the PCC class, they could use service-based learning. So if a student is involved in a sport, club, or organization, if they're in a sport, they have to be in a sport the whole year that the sport competes in, the season, or a club for its length of time. And then I have a little writing thing, they have to tell me how they learn certain skills by that. Or C, work-based learning. So a student has a job, they're getting a paid job, and again, they fill out paperwork for me, and that can be bucket 2. The third bucket is the post-secondary readiness. So again, a variety of options of meeting this. So honors diplomas, and I have lots of kids who work towards honors diplomas. However, honors diplomas, we don't know if you really got one until May, right before graduation, if you completed all the requirements for that. So while I'll have kids who graduate post-secondary competency in honors diploma, I usually work towards my kids having one of the others as well. ACT, SAT scores, and from now on, all juniors will take the SAT. The state of Indiana pays for that. We take it every March. So a lot of our students, it saves them around $60. They take it with us. They get the scores they need for this, and those scores they can use for college applications and scholarship applications as well. If they don't like the score they have, then they can take a Saturday SAT. We are only allowed by the state of Indiana to offer it to them at school during their junior year. The next is the advanced placement courses and dual credit courses. If a student has 3 of those and there's a specific sequence those have to be in, that meets this requirement. The career technical education concentrators, what we're going to talk about, those pathway courses. So not just taking a variety of CTE classes, but taking a sequence of CTE classes. Industry certifications. At this time, we don't have any industry certifications at North Harrison. Our goal is in the next few years to have some of those, but our students that go to Prosser, several of them get industry certifications. And the last is the ASVAB. ASVAB is the military entrance exam. We administer that at North Harrison twice a year. We're getting ready to have it in 2 weeks. And students that have not by their junior year and or spring of sophomore year and then through senior year haven't met this way, we give them the ASVAB exam. The military doesn't get those scores. I get those scores only. If a student chooses to give them to the military, they can give it to them afterwards. So they have to have a 31 on the ASVAB. And so if they get their diploma they're working towards, their employability skills, and their post-secondary, then in May of senior year, they're a graduate.
Okay, I'm going to talk about pathways. As far as pathways go, they have changed over time. In the past, as far as last year and the years prior, there has been the Perkins 4 that we've been following. Students could get 6 credits through multiple classes. We have them listed here. As long as they got 6, they could mix and match them as much as they wanted. okay? But now, with the way things have been moving, you can look at Perkins 5, which just impacts our seniors now and our juniors. They had to take 2 classes in essentially a cluster, okay, a pathway. This specific one is just an example for human services pathway. So they had to take human services 1 and human services 2. With next level, that is our current sophomores, our freshmen, and some of our juniors have already opted into the specific pathway, the next level pathways. So from years past, again, you could take a variety of classes, and then the last 2 years, our seniors and juniors, 2 classes. Now with next level, they're taking 3, and you can see they have changed. So they're taking principles of human services, understanding diversity and relationships and emotions to cover that pathway now. We have been gradually introducing these. We did it as soon as we could, we did it actually the year before the state mandated it, just so we could get it rolling. So right now we're offering principles of human services and understanding diversity. Next year will be the first year we're offering that relationships and emotions. Okay, so this again is our current seniors and juniors. These are the variety of pathways that they had to kind of tap into for the school if they were using the CTE concentrator to graduate on that post-secondary readiness competency box. So computer science, business management, accounting, human services, health sciences, manufacturing, and then we also have a variety of ag pathways, animal science, ag power, and horticulture landscaping. Now, if they wanted to earn that technical honors that many of them who attend Prosser are eligible for, they could earn that also if they went through an ag pathway with North Harrison. So as long as they took the sequence of classes, getting those 6 high school credits through the intro classes and then the 2 concentrator classes, and they signed up for IB Tech dual credit, they were eligible to get the technical honors. Now, with next level, all pathways are 3 classes together, okay? They can take them, most of these pathways, they could take them all together if we offered them all at the same time, which next year we'll be able to do that. Some of them, not so much like construction, they want to go over the safety items and principles before they go straight into carpentry and the other classes. But majority of them, they could take 1 at a time, 2 at a time, or all 3. So we still have our animal science, plant science pathway, we have manufacturing, and they'll be doing some welding and things like that and fabrications in that 3rd class that we're offering next year, horticulture and landscaping. Our business pathways still include accounting. We are expanding into finance and investment because of student interest and classes. We try to adapt those to students, and if a pathway is not working or if we feel like there's some interest there, we'll try to add it. And then we have the business administration. With these additional pathways with business, at least 2 of them we're hoping and planning will be eligible for technical honors possibly within the next year or 2. Health science. It is exercise science now, and they're going to take kinesiology and human performance. We'll be adding those in next year. And for human services, we'll be adding relationships and emotions, as I mentioned earlier. Construction, we'll be adding in framing and finishing, and we hope to create a workplace specialist, potentially another teacher or someone to help us with that class as well. And in those pathways with human services and health sciences, our teachers have already put in that they would also like to look at dual credit options for those classes, which would also put those eligible for technical honors as well. So within the next year or 2, we hoped that they will also transition to technical honors eligibility. And then we're going to be growing, and that's where Mr. Kellums is going to talk a little bit more about our vision for the high school and where we hope things progress.
know we got a lot of seniors in here. I know you're in here for government class, but just curious, how many of you guys go to Prosser? 4 or 5 of you? Okay. Others have given went at other times. I thought a lot went to Prosser. Also, what diploma are you guys going for? Any technical honors? 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay. I thought. So the things I'm going to talk about, you guys aren't going to get, but it's some things that we're looking to for the future. I asked about Prosser because we're going to start to offer some of the things that Prosser offers you. We're going to start to offer some of that here as well. So our goals would be, like they said, to add those 3rd and 4th year pathways. And with those, you might be familiar, if you do go to Prosser, the capstones of the work-based learning, where you're actually out in the field. We're also going to add those dual credits, certifications. But as we develop those pathways and we get into the capstones, that's a chance for us to keep more CTE money here in the North Harrison school system. Also, one of my main goals for this is that we can encourage our North Harrison alumni to stay in our community and work in our community. And we really wanted to expose them to a lot of the businesses and things that we have going on here. So in the spring of this year, things that we've already done, we've applied for a grant to help us with our CTE. We'll find out later this month if we get that or not. Last week we met with the director of Prosser, who's also our district CTE director, and just shared with him our vision and what we were looking at. And by no means do we ever want to compete with Prosser. They have a great thing going there. We just want to focus on some things that maybe our community is strong at. So also in the spring, I know Miranda mentioned we posted for a part-time construction instructor. Also this spring, we're going to be looking to form a community advisory committee. With that, we'll be looking at business people from our community, community members, parents, students, and come together with kind of our common goal. Now, with the local business owners, the way I see that, if I'm a local business owner, I want something that's going to benefit me as well. So what we would like and what I envision is we could have local business owners coming in, helping maybe doing small portions of the training, but also getting to know some of the students who could be potential employees for them down the road. Next year, we're obviously adding the 3rd year classes that Mrs. Kellen talked about. We're also going to add OSHA training to all of our pathways. I think that's something, if you're a Prosser, you're probably already doing that. But also involving those local partnerships in that step 3, those 3rd classes. And that could be through what they call like a micro internship. Any of our Prosser kids doing internships this semester? Or will be? Now, did you do micro internships last year? Yeah, you're nodding your head, they did. And that's something that we would add here as well. And once again, involving the local partners, having them come in, showing them, here's what I do at my business, and teach them a skill. And the kids learn that, and then they can go out and job shadow, watch those people, and then when we get to that 4th year, when we're in that pathway or that true internship, then the kids can go out and actually work part of the time and even earn some money. Now, also, when I'm talking about entrepreneurship, not only would they be able to make some money during that 4th year, but during the 3rd year, I would like our classes to maybe make some things or produce goods that they could actually sell to bring back money into the program. Some other schools we've talked to, we've met with Perry Central Schools. They were making things for, was it Alcoa? Did I get that right, Mr. Freeman? Lopaka. I'm sorry, it was Lopaka. They were making things they're using in that factory. Well, we have factories, so it's going to be important to build those relationships, make those connections, and see what we can do. If nothing else, our construction trades class, they might build something that we could sell and bring that money back in to help develop the program more, and potentially even maybe put some money in some students' pockets as well. Beyond that year, we just want to continue to grow the other pathways. I'm not sure if they mentioned or not. We're looking to add an education pathway starting next year. Yep, there it is. And that's one, obviously. We are the school. So we are the connection. But not only high school teachers teaching that class, but we're going to look at elementary teachers, middle school teachers, helping to produce the future teachers of North Harrison Community Schools. The main thing, I know we're already over our time, we just want to continue to explore the credits, certifications, but more importantly, we want to use these pathways to continue to build and foster local relationships with our community and our business leaders. So, sorry we went 6 minutes over, Mr. Freed.
You're perfect, it was great.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Kettleman has one more slide.
Okay, so we've been advertising this week. We are hoping to have a really good turnout. We'll see, it's our first year doing this event. It's going to be a graduation requirements, pretty much what we just went over, but for not just for students, and it's for anyone who wants to come, community members, parents. We're really heavily encouraging 7th, 8th, and high school students to attend, but it's open to anyone. It's going to be February 23rd, 5:30 to 7:30 in the high school gym. We are having multiple colleges, businesses, local agencies, military branches. They will be coming in. They'll have a booth so people can circulate, ask questions. There's people who's going to be coming to talk about how they got into their career. There's also going to be people there that's going to talk to you about their business and how you can be an employer, an employee with them. So it's going to be a great opportunity for exposure there with college and careers. And then March 2nd is our SAT day for juniors. On that day, we are going to have a college and career exploration for 9th and 10th graders to participate in college and business tours. And seniors are going to be encouraged to do job shadows or schedule their own college visit as well. And just another thing, on the North Harrison website, under school counselors at the high school, we do have our own website, and it has a lot of information and resources there for families, community members, students, parents, just referencing that so you all know it's available. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very well done presentation, a lot of information, so things have certainly changed as far as getting a high school diploma. And again, I want to thank our high school staff there for sharing that. So it's February 23rd, a very important night there for parents and our kids. We appreciate everything that you do. Thank you, high school.
Participation at a school board meeting. If anyone has any public comments on agenda items, come up to the podium, state your name. You have 5 minutes. No one? All right, we'll move on. Go ahead.
Personnel, resignations, retirements. No one. Appointments. Susan Turner, middle school part-time instructional assistant, effective January 4th, 2023. Jamie Went, North Harrison Elementary part-time special education instructional assistant, effective January 4th, 2023.
Do I have a motion for the appointments? Motion's made by Mr. Bowen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Gunter. If there's any comments or questions?
It's good to see there's no resignations.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Other items, it is recommended that the board approve the second reading and approval of Neola updates, volume 34, as required by statute, legislative updates, and federal law, 0142.2, 0142.3, 0167.3, 1213.01, 1216, 2260, 2370.02, 2600, 3213.01, 3216, 4213.01, 4216, 5111, 5340.01, 5460, 5511, 6110, 6114, 6325, 8330, 8450.01, 8500, and 9150.
Do I have a motion to approve the Neola updates?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mrs. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Lasley. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
It is recommended that the board approve the second reading and approval of Neola Updates Volume 35, Number 1, as required by statute, legislative updates in federal law, 0131.1, 0167.3, 1521, 2431, 2432, 2435, 2464, 3120.02, 3120.11, 3121, 3220.02, 4121, 5420, 5610, 6250, 6550, 8120, 8121, 8210, 8220, 8400, 8600.
Do I have a motion for this approval of the Neola updates?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mr. Stroud. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Gunter. Do we have any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. It is recommended that the board approve permission for the corporation treasurer to make necessary transfers of appropriations from account to account within each school fund in order to balance out at the year end and to pay additional necessary and customary claims through the month of December 2022.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mrs. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Bowen. Do we have any comments or questions?
Do we know what any of these balances numbers are to be transferred at this time?
I will have some balances in the finance report. This is basically just to make sure that books are balanced and that allows the transfer of funds if needed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
It is recommended that the board approve a resolution to transfer amounts from the education fund to the operations fund.
Do I have a motion for this for this resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mr. Stroud. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Lasley. Do we have any questions or comments?
And can you explain the transfers that how they're different than the other transfers that we just approved?
Sure. This one talks specifically about transferring from education fund to operations fund. By law, you're allowed to do 15%. A corporation's allowed to make that transfer with funds coming in for your education fund. We currently transfer monthly about, I think it's 12.3% from education to operations each month.
Any more questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Discussion items. Okay. Informational items? Go right ahead.
Late items. Scott Gordon, appointment percussion staff volunteer for the 2022-23 band season. Corey Oney, apologize if I mispronounced the last name there, appointment percussion staff volunteer for 2022-23 band season. Taylor Tipple, appointment Morgan Elementary part-time instructional assistant, effective January 12, 2023 Sherry Ballman, appointment North Harrison Elementary yearbook sponsor for the 22-23 school year. Zoe Milschling, resignation, full-time custodian effective December 27th, 2022, excuse me.
Do I have a motion to approve these for the approval of the items under the late items?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mrs. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Stroud. Do we have any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Board member communication. Normally we start down that end of the table. Mr. Bowman, if you'd like to start.
Well, that's fine, ladies first. She always has some good stuff.
Oh, that's good evening, welcome seniors. You're all getting a lot of information to write up about tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank the community and voters for allowing me to serve on the school board for the next 4 years. I greatly appreciate the support. I would also like to welcome Mr. Bowen and Mr. Lasley to the school board. Look forward to working with them. I'm very excited about what we have started and what we have planned for the school. I also want to thank Mr. Kellums, Mrs. Eckert, and Mrs. Kellum for your presentation. I'm very excited that our students actually have options in choosing their pathways in life. My husband taught careers class for several years, and we discussed quite often how college was not for every student and that they need to know that they have other choices. So our mission is not only to educate the students, but to help them be productive members of society. That presents a lot of opportunity, and I'm very thankful that you all have gotten to step up on this and are doing this a year ahead of time. So thank you very much. That's all.
I'll piggyback on that. Very excited to see the job training opportunities because, like Chrissy said, 4-year college isn't for everybody. My son actually went to Prosser and came out making well over $40 grand a year and had great benefits in the diesel mechanic program, and there's all kinds of other programs between Prosser and the CTE programs and these other programs that you went over. So that's exciting to see that because not all students are cut out or necessarily want to go continue to be in the classroom for another 4 to 10 years to start their careers. So thank you for the presentation. Also, I attended my first high school wrestling match in over 30 years. And that was so cool. January 3rd, went to see senior managers Amara Black and Lily Pavey get recognized, and got to see a female wrestler on our team wrestle, and it was a really powerful event. There's a lot of excitement in the crowd, and it was cool. So hats off to the wrestling team.
I want to thank the community for voting me in to serve. I think the CTE is a great thing. I didn't go to college, and I think there's just a lot of avenues you can go down besides college. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made out there. College isn't for everybody. It wasn't for me. But like I said, I appreciate the support of the community and electing me. That's it.
I just have a few things tonight. First thing is, thanks for the presentation, the CTE program. Super pumped about that. I remember the old days with Wendell Arnold, and matter of fact, I flunked his 3D drafting class, but I got it up. It was only 6 weeks period, so super excited about that. Thank you all for coming tonight and being here. As you all know, Mr. Berger is here today, or tonight, and I would like to ask him a couple questions concerning the vote that we've recently made. And if I may, Mr. Berger? Yes, go ahead. So just so I know, and the other board members and administration, along with the public, could you please walk me through, let's just say, we vote on something and a board member makes a motion. Could you walk me through that whole process of how the motion is made, how it can be seconded, and how it's voted upon?
Yes, that's right. Is this on? It's not working.
Just turn it on.
Are you there now? Okay. So first of all, Mr. Stroud, I think what you're talking about is just a typical how a vote comes up, and I think that's been demonstrated tonight, even when you did your elections for your officers for the coming year. So a motion is made by a board member, and before that can be acted on by the board, there has to be an opportunity for a second. In this case, you guys have 5 members, so a motion's made, then it would be opened up for a second. If there was a second on it, then the board would be given an opportunity for discussion, and then after that discussion, they would vote on that. If that vote resulted in a majority of the board, and we're talking in general terms because different statutes talk about whether it's the majority of the board or the majority of the board that's present. So we won't get into that aspect of the law because there are certain things that the majority of the board can approve. So if only 3 of you showed up to a meeting and 2 of you voted on something and 2 weren't here, that would be a majority. But there's certain statutes that require that you have to have the majority of the full board. So we won't get into that detail of the technicality of it, but just as a general rule, you would vote. And if that motion passed, then by a majority vote, then that would be it. If a motion is made and there is not a second, then there would not be a vote on it, and that motion would die for a lack of a second.
Okay, so it is my understanding that if a motion is made, there needs to be a second.
In order to vote on it, there would need to be a second.
Okay, so no motion can be denied. You can make a motion on pretty much anything you wanted to make a motion on.
That is correct. So, and that gets into issues of agenda. So, under Indiana law, government entities aren't required to have an agenda for their meeting. So there's no requirement that they do. If you do have an agenda, that agenda must be posted in advance for people to know what it is. And also, when you're voting on agenda items, you must actually vote on what the agenda item is. You can't, for example, say we want to vote on agenda item 1-12-13. You would actually have to say we're going to vote on, the late items, hiring, firing, whatever. So that would be the first thing on the agenda. If something is not on the agenda, it does not prevent a board member from bringing something up and asking that something that's not on the agenda be voted on. So just because something's not on the agenda does not prevent you from making motions on non-agenda items. So if you came in, and just use an example, let's say you came in and it wasn't on the agenda, but you walked in tonight and you said you're gonna vote to hire a trailer to haul the archery equipment for the archery team for $20,000 because we've got so many people participating, we need a bigger trailer. If you walked in and made that motion tonight and a board member seconded it, then there would be a discussion on it. And if you all voted to approve it and you didn't have to follow the bidding statute requirements, then you would be able to move forward. If it was something that required bidding, we would have to do public notices and other things, but that's how that works.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
First of all, thank everybody for coming tonight. Ms. Eckert, Ms. Kellums, Mr. Kellums, thank you all for the presentation very much. I'd like to thank for the opportunity to become president of this for the school board for this year. Do my best to be open, transparent, and forthcoming. Appreciate the support of my fellow board members and the administration. As I said last month at the last school board meeting, we've got a lot of good things going on. You all heard some of those tonight, which is exciting. Welcome to Mr. Bowen and Mr. Lasley. I know I said that last month, but I'd like to welcome them again tonight and thank them. And everybody have a wonderful evening.
My mic didn't work, but I'll talk loud and I'll be very brief. I'd like to thank Ms. Eckert, Ms. Kellums, Mr. Kellums for coming this evening. You've got a lot of great things going on at the high school. It's always been a great school, but I really see things improving. I know you guys are working hard there. You're implementing things for the kids, and we really appreciate that. Second of all, Jordan, what's your son's name? Corbin, I want to publicly thank you for saving me on a school bus because I had no idea where I was going and it was dark and I was scared and nervous and he told me exactly where I was going and I only missed one kid. So Corbin, thank you very much there. And also guys, if you know anyone who wants to drive a school bus, I'm telling you that it's no problem at all. You got people like Corbin on the bus and he'll take good care of you. So there we go.
Thanks for helping him out there, Corbin. I just have a few things. Again, I'd like to welcome the new board members, Mr. Lasley, Mr. Bowen, welcome Mrs. Gunner back to us. I look forward to having you all on our board and serving our community. I also, again, like to recognize and thank the high school, Mr. Kellums, Miss Eckert, Miss Kellums there for the wonderful presentation. And then I have some good news to share. We had received word recently that Ivy Tech, I know the high school mentioned the dual credit program. We have a lot of dual credit classes that give our kids a chance to earn college credit. Some can go into college, earning enough credits to go into the sophomore year even. And the cost of that program or that class was about $3,600. And that's how they charged us by the individual class. So if the dual credit class was psychology, I'm just throwing that out there, it didn't matter if we had 5 kids take it or 18 kids take it, it was $3,600. Ivy Tech was mandated recently. I guess the Sellersburg branch was the only Ivy Tech left in the state that was charging per class and not charging per kid. So we had an email from Ivy Tech that they were going to have to change the process, that each one of our kids taking these dual credit classes was going to have to pay the actual tuition as if they were taking the class on campus. So obviously that would have been a huge increase for our kids. So the county superintendents, Mr. Morris, Dr. Eastridge, and myself got together with the Community Foundation, Ms. Kurtz, Ms. Mormon. We met with them a couple times, expressed our concerns, and basically drafted a letter to the Community Foundation asking them if they would help and support and basically bear the cost increase next year of that change from Ivy Tech. And heard back earlier this week that the Community Foundation had their board meeting and they did vote to approve that they would cover that cost. So that is just wonderful news. So just wanted to give a shout out to our Harrison County Community Foundation and the work that they did there, and not only supporting our kids here in North Harrison, but all kids in the county. So I wanted to share that excellent news. After we adjourn, I don't have as much excellent news because I have to do a quick finance report. You're not going to offend me if when Mr. Engel adjourns the meeting, if you leave. If you want to stay, that's great too. But I'll turn it back over to Mr. Engel so he can adjourn this meeting. You got to get them signed. Sorry, guys. I'll try to go quick, man. I promise.
It is recommended that the meeting be adjourned at 8:11 p.m. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mrs. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Lasley. Anybody got a question about that? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we're going to start our 2023 finance meeting. This meeting is called to order at 8:11 p.m. by myself, Nathan Free. So by state law, it is required that every January we have a finance meeting where we have to elect a president and secretary, which we're going to use our current president, Mr. Engel, and Mr. Bowen, who were elected president and secretary tonight. They are also going to serve as president and secretary on our finance board. We also have to review a written report that summarizes investments by the school corporation and provide a written report on the financial condition of the school corporation. So those are the 3 components there. The reports are given by the superintendent or a designee, and all of the information that I'm going to talk about, and again, I'll try to be explanatory but still be brief. All of this can be found on the Distressed Union Appeals Board website. If you go and do a Google search for DUAB, D as in dog, UAB as in boy, school corporations, you will find all of this information on that DUAB website, okay? So I'm going to get started here. The investment report. The corporation made no investments during 2022 and has no income from investments, as listed on the DOE financial report. We do have 2 small athletic CDs, one in the high school that's $7,500 and one in the middle school that's $9,500.
Mr. Freed, before you go on, I think we need to adopt the agenda first, don't we? That be procedure?
Yes, that would be procedure. Thank you, Mr. Engel. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to back up and let you do that?
Yes, that would be great.
All right.
I need a
You
motion.
have to say all that over again.
I hope you're kidding, Ms. Gutcher, and so is the crowd.
It is. I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda for the finance meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's made by Mr. Lasley. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Gunter. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Please
Aye.
continue. Mr.
I apologize for that. I got so excited about this that I jumped the gun there. So again, just those three components. Mr. Engel, Mr. Bowen are representatives on the board. No investments from the corporation to report besides those 2 small athletic CDs. The corporation is in great financial shape. I'm very happy to report. We had a certified budget of $24,971,633 million for 2023. That budget is broken down into the 3 funds that we had previously discussed. Education fund, which is state money, all state dollars, just a little over $15,767,079. There is no tax rate on that education fund because again, that is state dollars. Our debt service fund was at $3,159,329 with a tax rate of 0.289. And then our operations fund for 2023 budget was $6,045,225, and that came in at a tax rate of 0.4610. So the total budget, we're right at about $25 million for our school corporation. The exact figure is $24,971,633, and our tax rate, which we talked a lot about with the safety measurements and the general obligation bonds, of keeping that tax rate neutral at 75 cents, and our tax rate for 2023 is exactly 75 cents. But pleased to report that we are in great financial shape. ADM, we've talked a lot about ADM the past several months. That's just how many kids we have in our schools, average daily membership. We typically fluctuate between 2,100 and 2,200 students, depending on class sizes. We had a high in 2017 of 2,198, and again, these are students, and a low of 2,068 in 2020. And again, the state funds are based on how many kids are in your school corporation. So you can see those numbers when they change, the money that you receive from the state drastically changes as well. Currently, 2022, our fall count was 2,080. So we're a little down. 2021, we were 2,114. So we're down about 34, 35 students from last school year. Again, sometimes it's just as simple as a large graduating class. I know when I was middle school principal, I had some classes that would be 192, 198, and here the last couple of years it was about 164. So a lot of that just depends on class sizes. Our fund balances, the current education fund is right at about $4 million. $4 million, the exact number is $16,456. That's in the education fund. That is all money that comes from the state of Indiana. It's up from 2020. It was about $2.3 million. Some good news there. The operating fund, we tend to have fluctuated historically since 2014 between about $1.5 million and $2 million. We're right there. We're at $1.7 million. $1,717,356 million is the actual number. And debt service, the number has pretty much remained consistent since 2017, which is right about $1 million. The exact number for debt service is $1,039,558. And the last fund that we don't talk much about, it's the rainy day fund. This is just kind of an emergency fund that school corporations use if you have a catastrophe or disaster or something that you would need immediate funds just to try to kind of put away. And the current balance for the rainy day has not changed since 2016. It is $521,929. So those are our four funds and their current balance. We currently ended the year with a surplus. We have so since 2018, but our revenues are very closely aligned to expenditures. So what we are taking in, we're pretty well spending, and again, trying to be very cognizant of that spending. Fund balances as a percent of operations. This just basically means if all funding stopped from the state, what percent of money would we be able to continue on with for a while? And in 2021, that number was 26%. So we could operate for a few months there if all funding stopped from the state. Revenue by type, state dollars represent the majority of money received. So out of that $25 million budget, most of that money is state money. 2021, that was $25.5 million, and that's what they call that basic tuition support. Other notes that you won't find in the DUAB, on the DUAB website, our assessed value, our AV, it increased from, in 2016, it was $459 million, and this past year, we saw that go up to $668 million. So assessed value has continued to increase. I already mentioned our tax rate of 75 cents currently. Since 2018, we have ranged in our overall tax rate from 72 to 79 cents. It has been as high as $1.51 within the last 20 years. It has been as low as 62 cents. But typically, we kind of hover in that 72 to 79 with a current rate of 75. And then the last thing that I have, ESSER money, which is the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds. We've received a total, there were 3 grants there, ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3. Those totaled about $3 million, and we have until 2023-24 to expend those funds. Currently, we've spent about 86% of that money buying things, technology, software, and hardware, COVID custodial supplies, some salaries and benefits to try to help curb the learning loss. There are specific guidelines. You have to prepare an application, and you have to stick to what you're spending those money on, what those monies on. So you can't just go and spend $1 million to buy a turf football field. The money is very, very strict in the guidelines of what you can spend the money on, and that is all tracked. So again, that is my January finance report. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Freed, for that stimulating.
Thank you for staying and staying. I didn't see anybody's head. No, I appreciate that.
No further questions. We're going to adjourn from the finance meeting. It is recommended that the finance meeting be adjourned at 8:22 p.m. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion's made by Mrs. Gunter. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Bowen. I'm assuming there's no questions or discussions about that. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you all again for coming out tonight.
Have a great evening, guys. Thank you. I didn't sound like it, did I? I didn't hear it.